2021 Evolutionary Choice Point. We are transiting an extremely sensitive fractal window of time on Earth. Humanity is at a crossroads. Global events are now signaling the entrance into a new stage of the evolutionary experiment taking place on Earth. We are entering a clear choice point on the biosphere-noosphere transition timeline. What is a choice point? Choice point is the place where our choices have the greatest potency. It is the place where it is easier for us to make a choice to change the patterns of the past, before they begin with the next cycle of the present and the future. If we really want to bring change into our personal lives and into our world, or if we choose to reset the patterns, the most frightening patterns of war and suffering, economic collapse of the past, it behoves us to understand the nature of cycles and to marry the wisdom of our indigenous ancestors. Ancient, but certainly not obsolete wisdom, with the best science of today to help us calculate these cycles. They follow very simple mathematics. And when we do that, we empower ourselves in ways that not even our ancestors did not, and we give ourselves the gift of possibly avoiding the mistakes and the suffering. Greg Braden. There are other authors that have explored this concept from a psychological and behavioral perspective, and presenting the choice point as any challenging situation. Comprehending the fractal mathematical nature of rhythms and cycles can allow us all to make more intelligent and wise choices. Navigating challenging times. On the 13 Moon, 28-day calendar today marks day 2 of Moon 2 of the year. The number 2 represents challenge and polarity. Our planet is experiencing now major and multiple challenges. As many are now feeling, these multiple crisis scenarios are reaching new critical levels. The manipulation of human DNA at such a large scale, the rapid and exponential expansion of technology designed to create tighter control mechanisms, coming hand in hand with the loss of basic freedoms, and the unveiling of the first commercial humanoid bot are all clear indicators that we are crossing a new key intersection between inorganic and organic paths of evolution of life on Earth. One path leads to entropy and chaos. The other one leads to syntropy and harmony. Stabilizing polarity. This entire moon is an invitation to stabilize the collective mental field by reconciling the opposites, a time to hold space for the healing of ourselves and for the organic evolution of all life on the planet. This is a time to be prepared for rapid changes while holding a field of harmony and heart-brain coherence around the Earth. From the perspective of the synchronic order, the current state of the planetary crisis and our disconnection from nature, a source spirit, is the residual result of another type of consciousness virus that operates through contrast to polarity. The 12:60 virus is both the karmic recollection, as well as the vibration of artificial time, which produces a state of cosmic amnesia. This is precisely what occurred at this moment in time, which the dream spell calls the beginning of the moon genesis, what the Maya call the beginning of the 13 Baktun cycle. It is very interesting, at the very beginning, in 3000 B.C., that in Sumeria, the archaeologists and historians inform us, the Sumerians had already divided the day into 24 hours, each hour of 60 minutes, each minute of 60 seconds. So all of this was all established well before the invention of the clock, and this was what we refer to as the theft of time. Instead of the 13 moons there was the 24 hours, 60 minutes, 60 seconds, the replacement of the 13 moon calendar, which is the true solar lunar calendar, with a regular lunar calendar, which is not a measure of the solar year, and various false or pseudo-solar calendars which come to, if we could use the word, perfection, in the Julian and the Gregorian calendars. The purpose of these calendars is to transmit the genetic deficiency virus. Since these calendars have nothing harmonic about them, they only keep the DNA in a state of confusion. We cannot escape from being neurotic and irrational, Jose Arguelles. Shifting from harm to harmony. On the Tzolk'in count we are transiting the 13th and final 20-day harmonic run of the 1320 Tzolk'in matrix, comprised from KIN 241 to KIN 260. On the fractal count of the 13 Baktun map of recorded history, this 20-day window corresponds to the most turbulent period of human evolution, the 13th and final Baktun of the Mayan long count, 1618 to 2012. This 20-day period comprises the rise of the Third Babel, represented by the Vatican, and the expansion of the Gregorian reform of 1582 and the mechanization of time. In other words, during these 20 days, we have the opportunity to redeem the karmic imprint from this dark period for humanity. Baktun 13, the redemption of the mechanization of time. It was during the 13th Baktun of recorded history, when the European expansion and colonization of the New World by the Old World took place, and the Mesoamerican temples were covered either by the jungle or by the cathedrals built on top of them by the Catholic Church. During this period, we have been witnessing a clash of epic proportions between the two main archetypal antagonistic forces playing now on Earth. The forces behind entropy and chaos, and the forces behind evolution and harmony. Today, KIN 253, 6 Skywalker corresponds to the 13th day of this fractal time container of the 13th Baktun of recorded history. A perfect opportunity to expand on the significance of this 13th stage of the evolution of historic civilization. Baktun 13, Human vs. Machine. The transcendental relevance of the 13th Baktun of recorded history in the context of our multi-layered and simultaneous present-day crises taking place around the world was clearly defined by Jose in his book The Noosphere Manifesto. By examining the 13th Baktun cycle, AD 1618 to 2012, we have a clear register of the course of the 12:60 artificial timing frequency in its world dominance. It took 7 of the 20 cartoons of the final Baktun cycle to establish the revolution of 12:60 science and generate the Industrial Revolution, while in the final 13 cartoons of a total 260 cartoons, the whole complex of modern, or more accurately, Gregorian global civilization has arisen. It is during the final 13 cartoons that the human species, under the total dominance of the 12:60 timing frequency, has undergone an exponential explosion, the creation of the technosphere, and the subjugation and destruction of the biosphere. From a population of 1/2 billion in 1750, the human species has increased 12-fold to more than 6 billion in a mere 250 years. Before 2012, at the present rate, another billion humans will be added to that figure. What does this mean as we rapidly approach the brick wall of time known as 2012? The purpose of the Great Cycle is to point out and define the moment of Judgment Day, the apocalypse of the Gregorian civilization, and the end of the artificial 12:60 order of time. Given the exponential increase of man and machine, driven by money, it is more than obvious that by the final cartoon, 1993 to 2012, we are rapidly approaching a saturation point in time. The chronotopological pond of history has filled up, and there is nowhere else to go. Only prophecy can puncture the otherwise closed container of human thought enveloping the planet in the form of the 12:60 technosphere. By virtue of their advanced knowledge of the nature of time and the development of a science of time, the Maya alone were able to set forth a prophecy that establishes the criterion for determining the era in time, and hence, for understanding that Judgment Day had arrived. Inasmuch as the criterion is the distinction between the 12:60 timing frequency, which governs all of human civilization and sets it apart from nature, and the 1320 universal timing frequency, which governs the whole of nature. The prophecy also sets forth the 13-moon 28-day calendar as the instrument for making the decision to return to the universal timing frequency. Only by making this decision, says the prophecy, will humanity avoid destruction and reap the benefits of the rewards for the righteous after the apocalyptic end time, that is, the end of 12:60 time. The Moon Genesis Redemption. Within Dreamspell cosmology, we are also 7 days away from closing 48 Solkan cycles of 260 days, a 52-day window that serves as a holographic repository of the Moon Genesis, KIN 209 to 260. This cycle corresponds to the green area, at the heart of the journey board, and holds the karmic memories of the occultation of the power of the number 13. This passage is also referred as the theft of time. 7 days, 7 generations. This is therefore a very sensitive window of time on planet Earth. From the fractal time perspective, these next 7 days hold the holographic imprint of the last 7 generations of the entire 13 Baktun cycle, comprised by 260 generations. From this perspective, every day on the 1320 matrix corresponds to one cartoon of 7,200 days, and every column of the Tzolk'in to one Baktun of 144.000 days. Therefore, every time that we transit the 13th harmonic run of the Tzolk'in, we are transiting a window of unprecedented change on Earth. During the next 7 days, we will bring to the surface some final and definitive aspects of the unconscious to the conscious that may enable us to equalize and redeem the unprecedented influx of polarizing energies, and though apparent, epidemic of cognitive dissonance, confusion, affecting the vast majority of the human population at this time. When we balance the challenging events from the past with events of close resonance in the present, we are able to reconcile the opposites and restore harmony. In this way, we may be closer to bring peace and resolution to all these internal and external conflicting actions, emotions, and thought forms that are coming now to the surface to be addressed and redeemed. In Galactic,